Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. This session has been organized to provide students, my colleagues, insight on career and arbitration. Before we begin this session, I would request my colleagues to switch on their videos and keep their audios on mute. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop in a text or you can raise your hand. We can take up your questions after the questions I've received already. So now I am pleased to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Tariq Khan. He is currently the Registrar of International Arbitration and Mediation Center in Hyderabad, India. He was also the former and the youngest partner of Advani & Co., which is based in Delhi, in India. He is the adjunct professor at Nalsa University of Law and has authored several books, including a commentary on Indian arbitration law. He has also been recognized as an expert by SEC Online and has conducted numerous training programs for the professionals from different backgrounds. As a columnist, he has made more than 60 publications on arbitration to his credit and has currently serves as advisor for various area societies. He has also been featured in Fortune 500 India magazine for authoring the best-selling books on the rise. So in short, if I have to put, he's a man with all the feathers in his hat and he's the best person to help us through this journey. So welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you very much.
So this is going to be a talk. So we'll be asking him questions. So please feel free to ask questions if you have any, if I don't cover. So my first question to you is, what initially drew to you to this career in arbitration, and what keeps you engaged till today in this field?
Thank you very much, firstly, for having me, and it's really nice to see you all present here today. So in my case, when I was in college, I never studied arbitration as a subject. And it just so happened that, like a lot of law students, even I was quite clueless as to what life's going to be after I finished my college. And it just so happened that when we were looking for placements, because the placements were not that great. So, I just bumped into a firm which was doing arbitration day and night, the oldest arbitration law firm in India. And once I got in there, I started doing arbitration. I started enjoying it. And since then, I think the growth that arbitration I have witnessed myself, because at that time, arbitration was not that popular choice for resolving disputes. But since then, because I've been teaching, I've been writing extensively, and it keeps evolving with time. It is so interesting, and new fields coming up. So it just never gets boring for me, unlike the rote method of traditional litigation, which I don't find very interesting. So, and that's the reason why I've been interested in and passionate about arbitration.
So what are your biggest challenges when you graduated from your law school and after working as a counsel, advocate, now arbitrator, and now the registrar of the institute? So what kind of biggest challenges you have faced and how you handle those challenges in those different aspects?
So to be honest, I think the biggest challenge has only been in law school. Getting a job is always the biggest challenge. I don't know if my friends here will agree or not, but that uncertainty, that feeling of not knowing what you're going to do after you finish your law college. Because a lot of my students, used to go abroad, taking recommendation letters from me, and then, it was, quite scary for them to really understand what they are going to do after they finish. But I think challenges are always going to be there, whether you're working somewhere, whether you're in a job, and that feeling of uncertainty is good. But as long as you're willing to put in your 200%, and this is a field which requires a lot of hard work, and as long as you're willing to do that, I don't think there's anything to worry about. That feeling is going to be there, and it is absolutely normal to feel insecure sometimes, to feel, worried, and difficulties will be there. But you will overcome them as long as you're willing to work hard, and as long as you know that there is no substitute to hard work. So yeah, that's my way of handling it.
So as if we go through your journey as a professional, you have done a lot of things and, everything which is related to arbitration. So what do you think, after LLM for students should be the career options we can explore, and, where we can be there, or what kind of options if we choose and have, like the scope of development, and what is the value for that? Because in journal earlier, like if we look back when arbitration was starting, it was just as a counsel or an arbitrator, but now we have so many options. What is your take on that?
So my suggestion is firstly that a lot of people who do masters, they have this feeling that if they do a masters from abroad, they'll get a job. So I think that's a misconception. People who feel that master program anywhere will guarantee a job. I think that's a misconception. If you're doing your masters for the purpose of broadening your horizons, for learning, for exposure, for building a network internationally, I think then it's worth it totally. But I mean, I think it completely depends on what you're trying to achieve after your masters. But getting a job, it is dependent on a lot of things. For example, if you look at different jurisdictions differently, some of you, after you finish your master program, may be interested in working in India. So the requirement of the Indian market is very different. And then if you want to work with an institution, or you want to work with a court of law, or you want to work with a firm, I mean, everything is going to be different. I can't give you a straitjacket formula. But what I've seen is if you want to work for jurisdictions like Dubai, for example, Middle East, so they have a preference. They prefer people with a master's degree, or now the new trend is that the weightage is being given to foreign qualified lawyer. So if you are a solicitor and if you have cleared your SQE, then you have higher chances of getting placed in these firms, in international firms. But having just a master's degree in today's world is, I think, not enough to get a job. I have also, I mean, a lot of my students who have worked under me later on, my interns also, my juniors, some of them went to Ivy League colleges also, they came back and they were struggling to find a job. So I think one needs to understand the demand of the market and what you want to achieve. For example, if you want to be in Germany, maybe you have a higher chances of getting a job if you know the German language, because that's where you can really tap into the market easily. Or you can easily get into South Korea, where there's a lot of arbitration happening. A lot of companies are there in comparison to a place like Singapore, where it will be difficult for you to crack into the market, or UK, where it's a very competitive market and you really cannot get a job easily. So I think one has to have a proper plan from day one. What is it that I want to achieve, and then just focus and work towards that goal. I think that will make life easier.
So if I just take it from there, if like during COVID, we all had to change our plans. So like most of my colleagues. So how do you think we can do better? And I think there's a perceived notion in some jurisdiction that experience is more priority than getting a break and doing masters, and it's sometimes difficult. So how do you think that is we can overcome that challenge?
Okay, so this answer is going to be a long one, because whether you like it or not, masters alone is not enough. And many of you are going to struggle to find your dream job. But it's easy if you can just keep these things in mind, which I'm going to tell you now. All your life, you would have heard and people and speakers coming and telling you that it's what you know that gets you ahead in life. And I think I should tell you this, that it's also who you know that gets you ahead in life. And that's why, number one, what you need to remember is the power of networking and attending international events and conferences. So whatever is happening around you, whatever you can get your hands on, do not miss an opportunity to network with the people of your field who are related, who are relevant, and who can, take you places. Because what I've understood is that in my discussions with, veterans like Toby Landau, VK Raja, Sir Bernard Eder, what I have understood is that mentor plays a very important role in your life, and, they can take you places. Reading and everything is of course one thing, but if you have a one good solid connect, it can take you places. So, you need to believe in networking, and you should always be open to meeting new people, but the relevant people, not the irrelevant ones. The second thing which I think I will highlight is, and Shruti, I think I'll be answering a lot of your questions in this, what you can do and what you should do to stand out and to make a career and get your dream job. Second thing is, you need to understand that a lot of law colleges are there, a lot of foreign universities are there. So competition is too much. Supply is much, much more than the demand. So you need to do things which are different, and your CV will stand out. Another thing that I can say is that language, you can learn new languages. Like I said, if you are focusing on Germany, if you have the knowledge of the German language, if intermediate or whatever, you will stand out and you can easily secure a job in a good law firm. Similarly, if you want to, work in South America, maybe, you can focus on languages like Spanish, because these are upcoming jurisdictions for arbitration. And if you really want to be an international arbitrator or a counsel who's present internationally, you cannot just stick to English language and say that, look, I want to be a star. All the people that I have met in my life, I was having a word with Gary Bond once, and he told me that, to be a counsel, client relationship aspects, for that purpose, it is critical that you know languages other than English. So I think language is one thing. You can take up a few different languages as well. Another thing is, don't be generic. A lot of people have been telling you that just take a normal master program and that's enough. I think it's important to take up other law courses as well. For example, you need to know what is the need of the industry now. So in times to come, what I have realized is, after my discussions with people across the globe, that technology is going to play a very important role. AI is going to be a game changer in the legal field and dispute resolution. So, maybe you can take up a course or a diploma, or a workshop, which can give you some knowledge or insight about cryptocurrencies, about metaverse, about blockchain as a technology, or anything on AI in general, Web 3.0, smart contracts. I think these kind of additional qualification will definitely help. For example, a friend of mine who's in Dubai working with Clifford Chance, he heads the dispute practice of tech disputes. He's just a senior associate, but he's having that kind of portfolio because of his knowledge of the technology. So I think that will put you on the upper edge and will give you, that you can use it at your advantage. Another thing that I've told you already is clearing the bar exam and having foreign lawyer tag on you. It will help you everywhere you go. Which is, I think, more important than being just foreign degree, which is nowadays. There was a time when foreign degree was something, but now you need a lot more than that. Another thing that I'd like to highlight is that we talk about specialization. And yes, I'm somebody who keeps telling people that, now it's not enough to say that I'm an arbitration lawyer. It is very, very important that you can start identifying yourself as a lawyer doing work relating to farmer disputes or energy disputes, expert in tech disputes, sports arbitration. So I think that's the future. But one thing you should always remember is that you will also require general knowledge, and arbitration requires in general the knowledge about the other substantive legal areas, because at the end of the day, arbitration is merely a process, of doing, or resolving disputes. But there'll be different subjects like contract, corporate, commercial law. I think these are the subjects you need to know inside out if you want to excel in arbitration. Any person who does not understand the contract law, contract act, can never excel in arbitration. So I would always advise people to gain their knowledge and read bit about other subjects, the general law as well, which can complement their knowledge of arbitration. So these are some preliminary tips that I think I'll give people who are looking to improve and excel. There are a lot more, but of course, I'm sure there'll be other questions where I can fit them in.
So I'll take like questions from your answer only. So when you just started with the pointers, you mentioned networking. So you highlighted importance of networking, but there's sometimes some individuals with different kind of personalities, and maybe it's not easy for them to network. So my question is, what are some effective strategies for building a professional network in industry, and at the same time staying in your zone, so that you don't feel like you just don't go and make fool out of yourself in front of a professional. So that is my question to you.
That's a very good question because I faced this issue all my life, Shruti. Until I mean, I'll be honest, and I know it will sound very weird if I tell you, but the reality is that I am an introvert. I am somebody who is really not good at networking, and I am somebody who's very uncomfortable going to people and randomly approaching them and chit chatting with them. But when I realized that my job demands that I have to, as a partner of a firm or as an associate of a firm, or now especially as a registrar of the institution, every other day I'm having maybe 5 to 6 meetings in, I don't know, every jurisdiction that you can think of. I think I've had discussions with people now, and I've been meeting people like there's no tomorrow. But I think what one has to understand is that there is a difference between you as a person and you as a professional. The person in you can be reserved, can be uncomfortable, can be underconfident. But when you are playing the role as a professional, because when I sit as a registrar of an institution in India, there's a lot of responsibility on me. I really cannot say that, no, I'm an introvert, I will not reach out to people. Whether I like it or not, I have to be an extrovert, and I have to go to people and approach them and tell them about the institution. Similarly, when we are, you may be shy. I'm sure a lot of you would be very, very shy. And, sometimes we don't even ask questions because we are so shy. And that's our inherent nature. That's, a lot of us. And I think that comes naturally to us as Indians. We are not very comfortable approaching people. But I think it's not a good sign. It's not something we should be proud of. You should, when you go to a conference, an arbitration conference, maybe ICC conference, SIA conference, IAMC conference, that every person who's present in the room it's a small world, right? We are a very small community. And every conference I attend in Singapore, Dubai, Paris, wherever I go, I meet the same set of people. So what I need to, tell you all today, and please believe me, that you cannot really be shy. You need to reach out to people, but at the same time, you need to understand where to draw the line. Now, I understand that, randomly, if you are reaching out to somebody very senior, you may also be nervous, and you may not get a very positive response. So there are some basics of networking that you need to understand. The basic thing is that you need to make a name for yourself first. And how can you do that? Like, how it works for me is that a lot of times my social media presence has helped me, my writings have helped me, my book has helped me, and I've been meeting people through other people. I'll give you an example. So today, if Shruti, you are going to a conference, say a conference is happening in London, and I know you, so you can just reach out to me and say that, look, this is the conference happening. Do you know someone? Or you can put me in touch with some people. Or if you attend a conference in Singapore and you can tell me that Singapore Convention Week is happening, can you put me in touch with some people? I'm sure that I'll be able to put you in touch with 3-4 relevant people. Or if I am coming myself, I can introduce you to maybe 15-20 people. So this is the best and easiest way to network, finding one person who and that person can introduce you to a lot more people. That's the easiest thing. The second thing is building your own image. If you do not have to introduce yourself, a lot of times it happened with me that when I was meeting people, or when people just saw me or somebody was introducing, they already knew about me. How? Because they were maybe reading my articles, or they were seeing some post, they were following me on LinkedIn, or I don't know how they knew, but I think that's why I encourage people to be active on LinkedIn, in a positive manner, and write articles which are relevant, write for journals, and which can build your credibility. So that's another thing. But there cannot be a question that, I'm shy, I'm uncomfortable approaching people. And even if you can't write, and if you don't have a brand image of your own, if you don't have your own visibility, in that case, what you can do is you can do the reverse psychology, which means that if you see a person, somebody like a Gary Bond standing in a conference, the man needs no introduction. You can just reach out to that person and say, sir, I've been following your work for a very long time, and it's a pleasure to meet you today. and maybe talk a little bit about the work they have done. So anybody you are approaching, you should know something about them or their firm or the work they are doing, so that you can have a small conversation. It cannot be that you simply go to a person, shake hands, and say, okay, hi, give me your visiting card. You need to have a 1 minute conversation and make sure they are free that time. If they're in the middle of the conversation, maybe they'll not give you attention. So timing is important. Knowing about the person is important, and you should look presentable. You should look like you are relevant, because a lot of times what I've seen is students from different universities, they have a habit of standing very uncomfortably, because they know that they are rookie, and they're beginners in the profession. My tip and advice to them is that just because you are a rookie, you are a fresher, you don't have to act like one. Unless you tell them, they would never know. They have no way to find out whether you're a partner of a law firm or you're a student, unless they ask, of course, which they may. But a lot depends on how you present and how confident you are. So it's nice to reach out to people, have a short conversation about something which they are interested in, or maybe you can render your you can say that I'll be happy to assist you in any articles that you are willing to write. I'm currently in the editorial board of my university, etc., etc. I think these are some ways of networking, and nowadays LinkedIn has made life so much easier, where you can just reach out to anyone, but you have to do it professionally. I think let me remind you. So yeah, I mean, these are some candid suggestions that I can give you.
Uh, I have a question from the audience, if I can just take it. Manav, do you have a question?
Hello, Mr. Khan. My name is Manav. I'm from Delhi, India, and I'm pursuing my master's in law in the same program with my friend Shruti here. And I have a question regarding the, you talked about that the master's program and the job security that we actually expect and what's the reality. Uh, But may I please understand your take upon the opening up of the Indian legal market? If I'm not wrong, it's a $2 billion US market. And the what's gonna happen with the Indian Council of Arbitration in next 5 years? If we talk about the global arbitration, like currently it's not that relevant. If we talk about the other institutes of Asia specifically, like basically the Singapore that I would like to compare with the Beast, if not so. So, what's your take on this of opening of the legal market? I know it's very restrictive currently, but it includes arbitration. So, uh, can we just talk upon that?
Thank you, Manav. That's a very pertinent question. I mean, I personally see it as a very positive step, and for a very long time, I've been, in favor of foreign law firms coming to India, and Indian market being open, because I think that India truly has the potential to be, a legal hub of legal. It's a proper legal hub of a lot of jobs, law firms, work, because there is so much to do, and with the kind of investment that is coming in, I think that it can be an attractive market for law firms as well, just like Dubai, DIFC, or you may look at Singapore. I think India had to do it, but I'm sure that this is going to be a very positive step, because especially for the younger lot, people like you who are doing master's program outside and you want to work with a foreign firm. Imagine if there are offices in India, they pay high salaries, better salaries, of course, and which will also encourage other Indian law firms to pay more. And for the younger people like us, like you, like others who really want to make a mark, and for independent advocates who are operating at the moment, having their chamber practice, these foreign firms perhaps will start absorbing those smaller firms, and there'll be a lot of opportunities for these young lawyers to make a mark, and then grow their career internationally also. Because unless this thing happens, it was difficult for lawyers like me. Take my example, for example. I was a partner of a firm in India, but no matter what my qualifications are, or how good I'm doing in a firm, maybe it would have been very difficult for me to move to an international firm. But on the same side, and now if you see after this move of the Bar Council of India, if somebody like you is working with a foreign firm, tomorrow it will be easier for you to move to the other office of the same firm in Dubai, London. You can easily switch, and you can easily move around, which has happened internationally with a lot of other firms. I have a lot of friends who have worked in offices of Magic Circle firms in London, in Paris, in Dubai. They keep juggling, they keep moving. So I think it'd be a very positive step. And for the Indian firms also, I don't see it as a negative thing. The work is not going to reduce. It's going to increase because, it has opened for arbitration. And a lot more people will now start choosing India as a seat of arbitration, because maybe they trust the foreign law firms, and the foreign law firms will also encourage choosing Indian institutions because their offices will be there. So work will also increase for everybody. So that's my take on it. And I know the different people have different opinions, but this is mine.
And thank you so much, sir. And the second part of the question was related to the ICA and how it will be affecting, how this decision will affect this ICA, and what changes we can expect according to you in next 5 years or so.
So by ICA, do you mean that institution in Delhi, or you mean International Commercial Arbitration?
The Indian Council Arbitration, ICA.
So ICA is that institute which is with FICCI. Are you talking about that institution?
I beg your pardon, sir. Your voice cracked.
Yeah, so I'm saying ICA, Indian Council of Arbitrators, is an institution with FICCI. It's an institution, arbitral institution. So are you
Yes,
talking about
with
that?
FICCI and the seat of arbitration that India represents, and it is also linked with the Asian network also, but it doesn't have that prevalence till now. India is a
You're right.
big legal market, but still it hasn't gone to that level which we can expect. So I was
So
talking.
understood your question. So yes, ICA has been there for a while, and you're right. Not any institution, could really make the mark. Like, could not be compared to ICC or SIAC, and none of the Indian institutions, for some reason, there are institutions who are doing a great job. I mean, MCI is doing a good job. DIAC is doing a good job. ICA has been there for a long time, like you said. Now we are also present. IAMC is also there, and one of the reasons why we were brought in was because we wanted to have something similar in India, like we have in, other countries, like ICC is present, SIAC is there. And we have done decent till now. I don't know if you have gone through our report, but in 1 year of our operation, we have administered disputes of about $600 million, which is unprecedented. And number of cases we are administering currently is about 30, 28 or 30. And for a new institution to get that kind of work, I don't know if you know, but ICC has been there for more than 100 years now. SIAC has been there for they started in 1992. ICC started in 1923, and IMC has started 1 year ago, and MCI has started 5 years ago. So, to compare Indian institutions with these established institutions, I think unfair. Or to compare India with jurisdictions like Singapore, Dubai is unfair, because, look at the size of Singapore, look at the size of India. I remember discussions with the law minister of Singapore last year. He said that, if there is a law which you feel is not proper in Singapore, you tell us, we'll change it in 7 days. But can you say the same thing about the Indian law? We are a democracy, and everything takes time. We are a huge country. But I understand what you're saying. But 5 years from now, I think India will be doing great. By the time you grow, you will see a lot more opportunities. Things are getting better. Like you have seen in the past 5 years, how arbitration has picked up. Now mediation is becoming the next big thing. So for young arbitrators and mediators, I can assure you the future is very, very bright.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Manav.
If I take it from what you just said, if we are exploring career options, like now there's option for us to be as a arbitrator and mediator. Do you think as a young arbitrator and mediator, people are reluctant to a point, and what kind of qualities they actually look for us as young arbitrators or mediators? And since you are in an institution, you have that perspective to tell us how should we actually be like.
That's a very good question, Shruti. What I've been telling people is that there has been too much discussion on diversity. But what kind of diversity? We have heard too much about gender diversity. We are also hearing a little bit about geographical diversity. But for some reason, nobody talks about the age diversity. That younger people should get an opportunity, not just as arbitrators, but I think younger members of the firms also need to be given some attention. Somebody should focus on them, and they should be also representing firms in hearings, maybe by cross-examining. But I'm not saying that give them the important matters, but it has to start somewhere. The younger members, younger arbitrators working in firms should obviously get visibility, in the sense that if there is a not so important witness, why don't you give them an opportunity to cross-examine? And if you do not want them to be cross-examined, let them do some kind of, in India, you have a concept of examination in chief. Let them do that at least. So I think, we need to put the younger members of the firms outside their comfort zone and put them in the forefront. But I, as an institution that I'm running, I am completely in favor of appointing young members, younger lawyers as arbitrators and mediators. I think sometimes my own experience has been that the associates are smarter than the senior ones, or maybe sometimes the partners also. So I think it completely depends on the competency of the person. Age cannot be the criteria of somebody's merit or somebody's, who's deserving. Age cannot decide who's more deserving. So I think there should be a way forward to appoint young arbitrators and young mediators. So I mean, that's my take on this.
So if I just take it from there, do you know if there are any different type of organization that actually employ young arbitrators or mediators? And if they do, what kind of how do these organizations differ in terms of culture or environment or career advancement opportunity as a young person? Because I think we are at such a stage that we would like to maybe explore a little. So do you think that actually narrow downs our options, since we just started with that? What is your take on it?
See, my take is simple, Shruti, that one has to do a lot of research and what they are getting into. When you get into a firm, there's one thing you have to look at, be it a firm, be it a lawyer, or an institution, because a lot of you don't even look at arbitral institutions as, a career choice, when in fact, that is the future. We are only looking at some of the top firms and we just want to compete there. I think that one thing which needs to be remembered at all times is that quality of the institution where you're working, or quality of the firm, wherever you work in the initial years of your career, you have to ensure that the tag, the team or the person you are working for is what, you want to be like. For instance, if you work with a arbitral institution, then you make sure that, the institution has some credibility and the team is good. And there is no straitjacket formula, and I cannot tell you people, okay, these are the organizations which are encouraging young arbitrators. What I can tell you is that as young lawyers, what you can do is you can improve your profile. Like the same issue happened with me. I don't know how many times you have seen young registrars like me, or maybe, young partners like me, you mentioned in your introduction. But I think it's on you how you make your CV look like. Maybe you can have some accreditations early in life. Like as students, what you can do is you can get, yourself trained mediators. You can have a proper tag with your name that I'm a trained mediator. You can do a training of 40 hours. Then what you can do is you can also become arbitrator and, maybe get a CIR accreditation, or maybe you can, participate in some kind of events which are on award writing, or maybe get some scholarships, or maybe do some courses in the academy like Cologne, Hague. You can just build up your CV in a way that, anybody who sees you or your profile does not have any other option than to choose you for that job. As an arbitrator, when you give me your profile, I'll be happy to appoint you, each and every single one of you. But I need to see something on the profile, because if there is nothing on your CV, I cannot help you, even if I want to appoint you. So I think a lot depends on your own credentials, And you cannot say that which are the firms or the organization which will encourage young lawyers. Young lawyers have to encourage themselves. They have to build their own profile in a way that when it is kept with a senior person, your profile looks much better. I mean, that's my take and that's my way of looking at it.
So I think we have two questions from the audience. We can take that and go forward. So
Sure.
Prakriti, would you like to go ahead with your question?
Hello, sir.
Hi, Prakriti.
It's so nice to meet you again.
It's
So,
a pleasure.
yes, I just wanted to let everyone know, like, Tariq sir is one of the person who actually guided me to come for this course and which helped me in build my CV for arbitration career. So thank you so much. It was the best decision I've taken till now. So my question is like you said right now, for having qualifications like CIR, having courses, would having a CIR suffix or a fellowship help me getting a job? Like, will it be just a cookie, or like, do I have to stay in London or CIR places to get a job, or can I just, I mean, be
I
like,
understood your question.
I want to come back to my country. I want to come back
Sure.
to, like, will that help me getting some cases here, or will it would just be like, what do you say, a suffix for getting a job?
Thank you, Prakriti. Thank you for the question. And it's a pleasure to see you again. And the question that you have asked is, so my question, what Shruti asked me was in relation to the arbitrator, that how to get more appointments. And, CIR by only said for one reason, because when an institution wants to appoint you, CIR has certain levels, right? MCIR, ACIR, FCIR. FCIR is the fellow, which is a
Fellowship,
top level.
yes.
Yeah. So, if you have an FCIR tag with you, people will at least presume that this person knows about arbitration, or if you have an MCIR. But I'm not saying that this is the only criteria. What one needs to understand is, I'll tell you what Gary Bond said. He said that building a career is like building a snowman. It's not something which will happen overnight. Just getting a FCIR tag does not guarantee that you will become, a solid arbitrator or a who's who. What you need to understand is that arbitral appointments, it will take time. It's a process. It's a long journey. You start building your arbitrator profile. It may take 5 years to 10 years easily, and then you will be a full-time arbitrator. If you come to India and you want to start taking arbitral appointments, I don't think it's a good decision, because you are too young to be appointed as arbitrator. A lot of people will have a problem that this person is just fresh out of law school and is deciding my dispute. Maybe in the smaller matter, you will get those chances. But if you really want to do it, I suggest people to first practice for a while as a counsel in arbitration. Once you have some basic idea about how arbitration works, and you have done about 20, 30 arbitrations as a counsel, then simultaneously you start picking up arbitrations. And this is what has been done by a lot of other arbitrators that I know, the top arbitrators in the world. They set up their practice, they made a name for themselves as counsels first, then they became full-time arbitrators because they started getting too much of arbitral appointments. And then, they did not have the time for practice. Some of them are doing both. So I suggest that focus first should be not on becoming a full-time arbitrator, but on working as a counsel or with a firm, and then gradually moving towards arbitral appointments.
Okay, so like a good litigant can also be a good arbitrator, you mean to say?
Yes, I mean, that's the key, because if you have done arbitrations, you should know, just like good lawyers become good judges, right?
Yes.
They're asked to move on to the bench. Yeah, same logic applies for arbitrators also.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prakriti.
Ruhi, would you like to go ahead with your question?
Yes. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for the session. It's very insightful. Thank you for your time. I had two questions. The first one is, when we talk about building a career, and if I talk about myself, I do see myself not having a conventional law firm career in the field of arbitration, but also doing something unconventional, but in the field of ADR. So if for those of us who don't just want to have a career in law firm, but also want to contribute to the ADR regime, do you think from your perspective, is India just the right place to do that, or should we be exploring other jurisdictions like London or US or Australia? Or do you think, I know that a lot of personal, and it's a very subjective question as well, because it depends from person to person, but at the same time, on the basis of your experience, for those of us who want to have an unconventional career in the field of not just arbitration but ADR, do you think India is just the right place to do that? And secondly, when we talk about the growth of arbitration in India, are we just talking about tier 1 cities like Delhi, Mumbai, and Hyderabad, or do we also consider tier 2 cities like Nagpur or Raipur? So what is your opinion on that? So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rohit. Thank you very much for the question. See, I mean, for someone like you, I think it's best you come back and contribute to your nation. And there's a lot you can do. I think the place which requires, a lot of, young talented people like you is India. And there's a lot of scope for improvement, especially in the tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities. And, take my example, for example, I'll tell you the reason why I took up this position. I was very comfortable in Delhi as a partner, doing decent for myself. But I came to a place, called Hyderabad, which is, of course, the hub of investment, pharma capital, IT capital, but there was no arbitration culture for some reason. And look what we have been able to do in a year. We have been able to, do 24 events, 60 plus collaboration with top institutions. We have hosted Toby, VK Raja, and, the likes. We have trained the entire state judiciary in 1 year. In one mediation sensitization program, we have trained other industries. So, you need to be the person who's the change maker. And there's a lot you can do. Of course, having experience of jurisdictions like London, Paris, these are all, pro-arbitration jurisdictions, developed jurisdictions. You work there for a while, it's great. And, maybe then you come back to your country, and that is where you actually are able to showcase what you have learned. Because jurisdictions like Singapore are quite developed already. There's no dearth of people who can, make a difference. They have the who's who. But, if somebody is actually making that difference in a place like India, like, in Delhi, Bombay, you see a lot of change has already happened. Hyderabad has picked up, Bangalore has picked up. But look at cities like Chandigarh, Meerut, Ludhiana, Kanpur, Jaipur. I think they have a lot of potential because there are a lot of investment happening, but somebody has to do something. And I can tell you, speaking for myself, I have inaugurated about 10 ADR centers in tier 2 cities in the last 1 year. And I'm doing it every day. Tomorrow, for instance, I'll be in Odisha, and 3 days later, I'll be in Indore or Bhopal. So, I'm doing my best. And I think people like us who believe in the unconventional contribution will make a great role. The other thing you can look at is being an academician, of course, because a lot depends on the quality of the education which is being imparted. So, you can write. I think writing can make a huge difference. You can be a columnist. Legal journalism is an excellent option, which a lot of people don't look at. You can maybe start your own ADR blog or a proper portal which is dedicated to ADR. So I think there's a lot that you can do, and you should do it from India. India is the best place to do all this, I feel.
Thank you. So I'm very sorry that I could not turn my camera on, but thank you so much.
That's perfectly fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you very much.
So if I just take it from what you just said, so do you feel that our long-term view should be reflected in our short-term priorities? And, are we pouring our efforts into the initiative today that connect to what we are expecting ourselves to be in the market in the future? What should we actually do? So I have been given advice by people that, you set a career path for yourself and work on it. Don't diverge yourself here and there, just be focused. So what do you think should be done?
See, what I have seen in this, short journey that I have had, in my short stint, I have realized that, we are never in control. When I told you initially that I never studied arbitration as a subject, and I was passionate about criminal law, interned with people like Mr. Siddharth Luthra, Mr. Ram Jethmalani, the who's who of criminal law. But it just so happened that, arbitration chose me. I didn't choose arbitration. Same thing happened with law in my career. I never wanted to be a lawyer, but, I couldn't clear the engineering exam, and, I had a poor ranking there. So law chose me. Similarly, you are never in control, frankly. All you can do is you can just give your best, work hard as much as you can do. the only thing you will regret is not trying your best. Because as long as you are giving your best, let destiny also make some, plans for you. It's a mix of everything, frankly. There is a role of chance in life, which is very, very important. Sometimes you are applying, in firm and your CV is excellent, but you don't hear from them. And you feel disheartened that maybe you are not competent. What you do not realize is that what if there was no vacancy at that point of time? And the next day, your colleague who is not as half of, competent as you are, gets a job there because they needed somebody. So, role of chance, role of destiny is also something which cannot be ruled out. What you can do at your end is, be the best at what you do and have a proper plan for yourself and work in that direction. Your CV should be very impressive. If you, like I said, what Gary Bond said, building your career is like building a snowman. So you don't, from your end, there should not be anything which is missing or lacking. Everything else will fall into the place, that I can assure you.
So during when you were talking, you mentioned AI, artificial intelligence, and then case management. So do you think as a student who has just completed their masters should actually now, since there is a career options after RLM to be in case management, do you think it's a wise option and we can come back to arbitration and be in touch with it simultaneously? What is your opinion or take on it, or how do you see it as a employer if someone comes to you after working as a case manager and then you want to enter there? So what you will feel?
I'll clarify this. What you may have seen as an intern, you may have interned in a lot of offices, all of you. When you work for a month or 2 months in a law office, maybe you get to work on an arbitration case. What you see is, maybe the request for arbitration, or maybe you were involved in the drafting of the statement of claim or drafting of statement of defense, or maybe cross-examination. But it would be very, very rare. I will be surprised if any one of you will tell me that in a firm while we were interning, we were able to see the whole case from starting till the end. I don't think it's possible. Whereas if you work or intern in an institution, arbitral institution, because you mentioned about case management, in 2 months of internship, maybe you will see 20 different requests for arbitration drafted by 20 different law firms, 20 different kind of lawyers. You will see 10, 15 different kind of counsels cross-examining witnesses. You will see arguments happening, in different cases, maybe energy disputes, pharma, construction, IT. Maybe you will see expert reports being presented and, cross-examination of, by different methods like hot tubbing. So, in an institution, when you work, you get this much perspective. And this kind of rich experience that you get, it will be useful anywhere. Similarly, let me give you another example. Somebody who has worked, who has the knowledge of AI, tech disputes, and is not doing arbitration full time. It's just as, somebody who's simply doing cyber law for 5 years. And now if they want to come in arbitration, a lot of people may feel no, that they may not have any career, but I think they will have a better career than anybody else because they have that advantage, that rich experience of cyber law, which they will add value to any disputes team. And any law firm will be happy to have someone with that kind of background, rather than be having 100 people who have the same general idea about arbitration. So I think it completely depends on how you use your skills to your advantage and how you are able to sell and market, your profile. That's my take on that.
So I would like to ask you, like, what are the most important traits, you look when you're hiring a new employee, and in just a global outlook, not just restricted to one market, like as an employer in general, what will you actually look after a person who has done his LLM and maybe has some years of experience? So what do you actually look into? Because, as you said, there's a lot of supply, but there's a lot less opportunity. So how do you make yourself stand out there?
I think first would be your CV, how it looks like. It has to be a tailored CV. If you're applying for a job with an institution, anybody with the prior experience of working or interning with any institution is what I would prefer. Because, sometimes what happens is I've seen a lot of young lawyers telling me, I'm very passionate about arbitration since college. Since first year, I wanted to do arbitration law. But when I look at their CV, I see that their internships are all with criminal, lawyers who are doing criminal law or civil law or corporate, but they have not worked with firms doing arbitration. So, your CV should speak for itself, because the competitions you are going for, the moot courts you do, the papers you have written, all of that should be, in line with what you are saying. The other thing is that, so prior experience is one. Second thing is your written work will be of advantage. If I can see a sample of any article you have written, if you are into writing, I think that definitely helps. More important things are that, you should be passionate about the subject. You should be not just in saying it, but, it should reflect in your CV as well. But, you should be confident, you should be motivated, you should be willing to work. Sometimes people just come and they start talking the commercials, and they start talking about things like, look, I cannot really work after 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. I have to stay, complaining rather than really being excited about the opportunity. So I think that mindset doesn't help. We know who not to hire. So people are only looking for red flags when you are being interviewed. So what you need to ensure is you don't give them a reason, and have a good CV, and you should be very passionate. And I think that reflects in your conduct when you are having a conversation.
So as you just mentioned, commercially, commercial awareness is also important when you're entering the field of arbitration. So how do you keep yourself balanced with everything? You have so many things going on in your plate, and how do you actually keep yourself commercially aware and manage your time simultaneously? That is one, I think, big question in all our mind, because as a lawyer you have so much to read, and as a student then you have so many readings and everything going on. So what's your take on the time management aspect, and the career different approach we should have? So what do you think should be ideally done to be there in all the spheres?
So let me be honest with you. A lot of people will tell you to, I mean, I know that people will not agree with me, but I think that it's okay to take stress. There'll be a lot of sleepless nights. You'll have to compromise on your sleep. People who tell you that it's important to have 8 to 10 hours of sleep, you'll have to say goodbye to them. And, comfort is the last thing you should think about. Uh, Multitasking requires a lot of sacrifice. To be honest, you sacrifice on your sleep, you sacrifice on your comfort. Sometimes your personal life will also get affected. You will have to miss on certain commitments, but ultimately it's your passion which will make you do all these things. So they say that when your passion is your prison, you cannot break free. And every time you feel that you have been set free, you realize you are recaptured. So as long as you're enthusiastic about it, you are enjoying it, you should do it. But if you don't enjoy it, don't do it. It's as simple. It should not be that somebody is using it as an opportunity to exploit you. And unfortunately, in the Asian all these countries, I've seen that, there's a culture of exploitation also in some, places, because they just want people to sit till 12, at night or 1 o'clock. I think that, a person should do what they like to do. There's no point pushing somebody doing when they're not interested. But if you're passionate about writing, so I used to write when I used to come back from my office, finishing my whole work. And usually it was during midnight, when there was a lot of calm and, quiet. So I could completely focus on my ideas and finish my writing. Sometimes I would write till, the wee hours of the morning, or 12 to 6, I was finishing articles, then sending them, then going to court without sleeping. But there were times, when I realized my body needed rest. So I was completely sleeping for a day or two, not doing anything else, just relaxing. So it all depends on how you manage your time. Yes, there are times when you really cannot miss on some personal commitments. That time you should say goodbye to your work. So I think it's important, but as long as you are passionate about it, you will really not feel you are working. You will just enjoy it. That's what I think.
On a lighter note, I would just like to ask, like, what is one piece of advice you think someone should have actually given you at the beginning of your career? Like something that you actually think you should have known before you started it.
I think, I think it would have been great if somebody would have told me that, life is not as nice and simple, and especially the legal field is not how it looks in suits and Boston legal and, all those things with which, the reality of the profession is very, very different. We used to look at our role models like Mr. Ram Jethmalani, Mr. Arun Jaitley, Mr. Dr. Singhvi. We used to see Mr. Fali Nariman speak, and we wanted to be like them. But the reality of the profession is very, very different. We feel we will go in the court and we'll argue, constitution bench is going to hear us. And sometimes, for 5 years to 7 years, you don't get any opportunity to appear before a court. And most of the time, what you're doing is you are just preparing brief, doing research, photocopying documents, maybe in, about the district courts in our country. So, maybe just getting the court fees and, being in Tisazari, Patiala House. So reality of the profession, I think there should be some kind of awareness or some kind of visits to courts regularly for people to know what the reality of the profession is, so that they can accordingly make a choice if they want to go for litigation, if they want to do criminal law, or they want to go for arbitration. Then I think it will be much easier for them.
We have again questions from the audience. So Manav, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, hello again. I was just wondering, we are talking about arbitration. Can we ask question related to the mediation, please?
Of course, anything, feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you so much. So, as we all must be aware, especially the Indian colleagues here, about the mediation bill 2021. So, it has been pending since like 2 years now. But how do you feel like my personal intuition says it is a matter of this year only when we will see the bill getting passed and enacted quite well. And where will the mediation will go from here? Since I have read the provisions quite critically, and my personal take on the bill is very positive, that it will how it will the commercial mediation and the uh, how it will be binding and enforceable. And it is the need for the according to me. So, what's your take on that?
I think I fully agree with you, Manav. You're right. See, mediation bill has been pending for a while, but now the standing committee is there, and most likely this year, by the end of the year, we'll see the act in effect. And if not this year, then maybe early next year, but the government is taking it on priority. The second thing is, I think that mediation is the next big thing. The way arbitration has grown, I would urge you all to watch out for mediation and, start early, be the early entrant, have that advantage, get yourself trained now, so that, because there's going to be a lot of demand, but the supply is very, very less. I'm sitting here, so I know that there are not many qualified mediators, and for you to break in that market is easy at the moment. You can really, in the next 5 years, 10 years, you can be the who's who in mediation if you start early. And because, arbitration has already picked up, but mediation, the time is now. So I see a lot of scope, a lot of potential, because it is going to become mandatory in, these commercial disputes. And I think, and there are huge matters happening where I'm seeing that a lot of people are now charging more than arbitrators, in fact, in high stake mediation cases. So that's my suggestion, that, people who are interested should definitely look for it. And there's a lot of interesting stuff that is going to happen in that field.
Yes, sir. I personally feel that when we talk about mediation, there is a huge scope not only in commercial but for the social aspects, for the cases related to the inheritance, child custody, family disputes, divorce cases. We have seen the court annex mediation is already being taken place, and the court directs the parties to a dispute to go for a mediation on their consent. And we have also seen the court annex mediation in the high courts of India. Like, for example, I'm from Delhi. So Delhi has a Samadhan mediation branch in the high court, in which we have to pay a fees, which is approximately 21,000. And then you can go for a pre-litigation mediation. And that is actually the is actually being binding upon the parties. so we can be more sure about going for this process when the mediation bill is enacted.
Yes, no, I agree in all fields, not just in commercial mediation. Why I said commercial mediation is because most of you would be interested, would also want to be compensated adequately. And especially the money lies in the commercial mediation, because the court annex mediation at the moment is, not the place where a lot of people who are looking for making some good money also. That's not the place initially, because like you rightly said, court annex mediations don't pay that much. So that's just my
Yes,
take. But
but
yeah,
we are like
otherwise the potential is too much.
rookie advocates here, so we'll be like all guns blazing and whatever comes through us
No,
is
no,
like.
absolutely. Yes, yes, yeah, you're right. I mean, for experience, because what Mr. Palias Nariman told me once that, when you work, you don't work for money, because the value of rupee may go down, but the same is not true for experience. So as long as you're getting experience, I don't think anything else matters.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So, if I just take it up from there, do you think, since I have been following mediation from like last 2 years now, and have been doing mediation trainings for myself, do you think, like in India, if we take mediation trainings from institutes from other countries where already established, and there are now training programs organized in India, so what do you think, where should we actually go, or what kind of training program we should be looking at if we want to enter into Indian mediation market?
See, it doesn't matter where you are doing it from, as long as there is some accreditation to it, because training is what matters. For example, if you do training with ADR, ODR, they give you some accreditations of Singapore. SIMI, they are giving you, IMI, they're offering, CMC London, they're offering you. One accreditation, I think, is enough. But don't do it from a place which has no credibility, because a lot of people I see in India, now there is a lot of commercial exploitation of mediation trainings happening. They are selling these certificates for 60 70 grands, and I think it's not worth it, because you're nowhere, because you're neither getting any accreditation, not you're going to get any work. So be wise in your decisions when you go for a training. Do it from a reputed institution which can actually add value to your profile. That's what my suggestion would be.
My classmates have been taught by Mr. Shamji here. So
Oh,
that's why
nice.
they have a lot of mediation questions going on, because they've taken that subject and they're more inclined towards mediation now.
Okay, I'm really happy to hear that, and such a dynamic and vibrant crowd we have today. And I know I've exceeded my time, so sorry about that.
No, I think this session is to help all of my colleagues. So as long as it helps them, it's okay. And if you're available, definitely that's also there.
No, sure, we can
Mr.
take.
Khan, some of us are actually planning ahead for the ADR ODR programs that they are providing. And as you just mentioned, I am glad that I got some percentage of confirmation that if I have to pursue, because since you know about it and you said that about the accreditations, that's the first thing that attracts basically, because I was comparing it to the Harvard Business School online, and since out of 100 persons in this field, 90% of us would have heard about Harvard, but ADR ODR is something that is a very niche thing. Uh, so basically, what we will be thinking that okay, Harvard is a name, so we can go to Harvard. It's a 2 months self-paced program, cheaper than the ADR ODR one, and it has a name of its own. But reading about that uh, and on the websites, third-party websites that talk about the Harvard Business Law School online course, there is no accreditation to it. So even if I think that we pursue with that Harvard name, uh, there is no accreditation, and all of your money wouldn't be sufficient to give you a thing. But uh, your take on ADR ODR programs, they focus upon mainly focus upon the ODR thing, which is their USP. Online dispute resolution started in the COVID era. So, what's your take on that, sir?
So, see, Harvard has a very good program. If you go on campus and if you do it, I think it's really nice. There's one Pepperdine.
Sir, it's just an online program. It's not on-campus thing.
No, I'm telling you, there is an on-campus thing also. If you do that, that one I know is good. I'm not saying the one which you are talking about. I have not done it and I've not heard about it. But there is one with Pepperdine is also doing a program, which I think, there is, I'm forgetting the name, that program. That's also quite nice. So between them, I mean, these are a few, 2, 3 good programs which are there on mediation. The second thing that you asked is in relation to ADR, ODR, and focus on ODR. See, as long as the faculty that is going to train you is good, because Mr. Rahim Shamji is one of the senior mediators that I know, and a renowned mediator himself. Then there is Mr. Jabal, I think, who trains for ADR, ODR. These are all senior mediators. So obviously, knowledge of ODR is also going to add value, because like I said, the future is AI, tech, and the role of technology in resolving disputes. ODR will be a game changer. I think initially it will be for a smaller size disputes, but for a lot of people who are looking at using the ODR to their advantage, I think knowledge of ODR will be helpful. So if with this training, you can also get your hands on ODR, nothing like it. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
As we, do you have any more questions from the audience? I don't think so. So as we move towards the end of the session, my last question to you is, if there's anything you would like to change about your career path, what it would be and why?
I don't think I would like to change. I've already changed from partnership, from law firm. I came to an institution, and I think that's the fun part about it, because you should keep challenging yourself. You should not be comfortable at all. As a partner, I was feeling very comfortable in my office in Delhi. So I came to a new city where nobody knew me. So I think you should keep exploring, keep challenging yourself, keep learning, keep evolving. You have one life. So do as much as you can, contribute in whichever way you can, and I think life will take you to different places. Different experiences will happen. Don't make it boring, don't make it monotonous. So do what you like. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what matters is what makes you happy, and what keep your work should satisfy you. By the end of the day, you should be happy. I don't know if it will give you money or not, but satisfaction is what you should certainly look at. So I think that's my suggestion. So yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today, and I think your talk has been very useful to my colleagues and myself as well. I've like, from your opinions, I've been able to get more insight on what I should be doing, and it's helping now only. So I think it will be a really useful thing in long run. So thank you for your time today. And as we conclude this session, I would also like to thank my colleague, Ms. Panvi, to putting in touch with you. And, we were able to do this session. So thank you so much. And I hope we get an opportunity to host you on the campus as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you very much. And thank you, Pavni, for making this happen. It's actually been a great pleasure and privilege to be amongst you all. And I hope to meet you physically, all of you. And maybe, we'll have a meeting. And if any one of you comes to Hyderabad or is willing to come to Hyderabad, do visit our center. We would love to host you.
Thank you, sir. It was a great session. It was very insightful. I'm sure it helped all of our colleagues here. And thank you, Shruti, for organizing it.
Thank you,
thanks
Pavni.
to you. You pushed us to do this, so all thanks to you.
It's a pleasure.
And I hope we'll be able to see you soon. And if you have any other insights, please keep sharing with us so that, we can actually do better than what we are doing right now. So thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. And if there's anyone who has not asked the question today, I'll be happy to, help them in whichever way I can.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a good day.